to say good afternoon, everyone. Everybody that's introduced yourself, I hope already. I want to go ahead and get started, make the best out of everyone's time. I want to go quick little format. In the first half, we're going to do some brief introductions of our board, our committee that has helped us. Then we're going to go through the strategic planning presentation process. And then the second half, we're going to ask you to participate in some brief breakout discussions, where in that part, we're going to fill out some forms to help us identify how you participate and where we're moving forward. So for about the first 50 minutes, we're going to go over the presentation. We want you to be able to jot down some notes, because after the presentation, you're going to have some question and answer portion. We transition from the question and answer portion to getting to hear more about who you are, what you do, and the community, and what you can do to help us resolve this issue. And that's one we'll be able to do a wrap up with some closing comments from our director, Mr. Burks. Anybody have any questions about where we're starting and where we ended up? So at the end of it, you're going to be giving us some information about you on some forms. Some of you, who's here for the first time today? Okay, great. That is perfectly fine. And once you be able to catch up, you'll be able to see where we started back on this last year, earlier in this year, and then we can pick up from there to understand how you can participate and be a little bit more clear about where we're going with this. For those who get the first time, just tell us who you are, what you do for the community.
Good afternoon. My name is Tawana James, and I'm the chair, and I'm the career coach for the ladder program. And what we do is assist individuals with qualifications, opportunity to go back to school on a short-term basis, to gain new skill or training, programs like CDL, CNA, robotic, programs like that. And we've been in existence for about 13 years.
I'll let you before. Yeah, you're doing great work. Thank you.
So we've been across working with the struggling community, and one thing that I do is try to help some men that need on a monthly basis to get out and first encourage them to want to get out to try to do that.
Okay, great. Thanks. Anyone else here for the first time?
Carl Sullivan, the Upstate Father Coalition, help out non-custodial parents become more actively involved in the life of their child or children.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I don't know if the call is this Greenville same organization, case manager.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Bernal King, Ingram Visions International. I think we spoke this week. So
Yes, ma'am.
when you called, I knew your face.
Yes, ma'am.
Good to see you again. We operate a company that does professional coaching, consulting, and training in 2 divisions. The purpose for being here today is the small business development. We help people start, grow companies, and get access to financing. And we also do language and intercultural training and certified teachers to teach English as a second language. Good to see you, Curtis. Shawana, is it? Kiwana.
Yes,
Good to see you too.
Any other questions before we start? Okay. Tell a little about Olive Branch Project. The Olive Branch Project is a community-based organization for the empowerment of all people. Main focus is about platforms, leverage information, and social and economic power. Olive Branch has been really intentional about having forums broken up into 4 entities. One is the civic, second one is economic, third is social, and fourth is political. This forum is organized under the entity of the economic entity. So our focus is to identify a problem that affects the African American community, and our problem we identified was black male unemployment. And we wanted to research it and have a series of forums discussing how this issue impacts Greenville County, and also to get some feedback from the community on how we can improve on resolving the issue. Okay? The mission of Olive Branch Village Project is dedicated to reestablishing the village concept where individuals from all levels of social strata come together for the common good. One of its main emphasis is to promote harmony between all diverse village views, such as high order of socioeconomic conditions can be achieved. Olive Branch is a statewide initiative that is dedicated to the enrichment of all who reside in the village. Although it has a structural reality, it also has a virtual village. Virtual village becomes real through a social entity, and entities are structures that through an integrated process produce the goals and objectives that are needed for the village. The fundamental beliefs of Olive Branch Project are embodied 10 theology, which in business ethics is called Samaritanism, meaning that you have the capacity to help your fellow man. You have the capacity to give back, and you also have the desire to do it in order to make the community better. And so this is a concept that also talk about a virtual village. And through this process, you will be able to share information with us that we can post online to help our organizations all operate more efficiently and function better. Our overview about this project, some of you may have read articles, some of you may be totally new to this topic and how it affects the nation. Bob Johnson said earlier this year, the nation will never tolerate white unemployment at 14 to 15%. Usually, from a political standpoint, anytime the national unemployment rate gets over 8%, that's seen as a major problem. When anytime an issue affects the white community, you could double it, and that's how it affects the African American community. But even through a more intensive discussion about unemployment, we all know that unemployment only measures those who receive unemployment benefits. It does not measure those who have left the job market, those who have completely stopped looking for work. And so unemployment figures also are about tax dollars, meaning that those who have contributed to the system are now taking something back from the system. And so just looking at the raw unemployment numbers on a national, state, or county level does not give you the full picture of what's really going on. So further research is needed. We're going to talk about the method of how we looked at the numbers nationally, statewide, and local to really get a clear picture of what's going on. Black unemployment has been double of that of white Americans for more than 50 years. So we're not standing here today to say that we're going to erase a 50-year paradigm locally in a series of 4 forms. If you paid any attention to what's going on nationally, statewide, and locally, we understand this is a 50-year paradigm. Since something called integration took place, it had a disparate impact on African American businesses and the African American community. We all know that. The black youth unemployment is more than 40% nationally. In some cities, unemployment of black working age males is more than 50%. 50%. So that measures those that are out of the workforce, those that are considered jobless, and those that may be receiving unemployment benefits. You add those 3 numbers together, you get national numbers in cities like Detroit, Milwaukee, Boston, Chicago, Washington, D.C. In some cases, they can be as high as 50%. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are 11.5 million African American men that were unemployed as of August 2013. 11.5 billion. There are 43 million African Americans in this country. 11.5 billion are men that are unemployed in this country. Black men. Yes, sir.
How many of that 11.5 is probably in prison right now?
For a form of ex-felons?
No, that's in prison.
This only counts those who are receiving unemployment benefits. So that's why we're trying to set the stage here. You look at what unemployment means from a political standpoint. Unemployment is only those that are receiving unemployment benefits. So if you look at that number, only you can be highly misled. Okay? Everybody understand what unemployment means from a political standpoint. It only measures those that are receiving unemployment benefits. You have to include jobless and those who are completely out of the workforce for whatever reason. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics, 42,000 African American men reported unemployed in South Carolina. That's the end of last year. 42,000 men, black men in the state of South Carolina that will receive unemployment benefits at the end of the year. Got y'all wheels turning in? Okay, all right. Governor Haley, governor said that she had a war on unemployment. Says that she had success in South Carolina, now they have a job, not how many unemployment officers we have. Many of you know, in West Greenville particularly, many South Carolina unemployment officers are now closed. You cannot access the information online, you cannot receive unemployment benefits. All right? South Carolina Workforce said Monday they were consolidating claims and working 17 offices in February 19th. Officers continue to give other services to citizens jobs. So these are the sources where you can find more about those particular offices. Okay. Now we'll talk about our particular project. Olive Branch Village Project, the economic we focus on this national, state phenomenon as it affects Greenville County. Okay? Our project is organized in collaboration with church, business, community to address Black unemployment in Greenville County in 2012. According to the American Community Survey, 9,027 African males were unemployed between the ages of 16 and 64. That's 33.5%. Black men in Greenville County between the ages. Right. We're going to talk about that. That's called it. We're going to cover that. Anybody have comments about what we covered? So you can chime in and move throughout the presentation. What does this mean to you? What is it saying to you?
It says epidemic to me. I mean, it really does. I don't know if it is quote unquote defined in terms, you know, as an epidemic, but those numbers are extremely high. You know, and say when you compare it to the national average in white population in major cities, we should be alarmed.
When I combine, that doesn't count the people that's perfect. That's not counting the people in the detention center. That's not counting those people. All the people that receive unemployment.
Well, this number here was a combination of three things. Those who have completely left the job market, those who receive unemployment benefits as of December 2012, and those who were not classified as good people, physical or mental disabilities, therefore unable to work.
So that's
Yeah.
So it's still not counting that population.
Right.
12, 1,300.
Right.
Right, I think the other number that's left out is the fact that those who are coming out of the streets already have that criminal history and terms of finding work, that obstacle is there.
Man, that's not counting. But this comes from, I'm gonna say, I'm showing how it's a community problem, but it's not also counting the people that didn't register in the system. Think about how many black men is not counted.
About 5%.
Yeah.
That's confidence intervals that didn't capture certain people.
That's another lower number. You say 64. I mean, that's, in other words, we look at it higher than 33%. It's probably about 40.
And the survey is done with those in why they think that they don't have one.
Well, that's the part of what we're doing here today. We're going to measure this process over here and have forums quarterly to get more detailed feedback from business leaders, community leaders, pastors, and men who may be experiencing the problem. Those are the group that we really want to hear from. Right? Yes, sir. Well, sure do. Yeah.
I asked that too because I saw an article that stated that Greenville County
Yeah.
How's the issue?
No. But anyway, the article stated that the Greenville County area, along with the Pickens County area, is one of the metropolitan areas for the state of South Carolina. It's an area where most of the jobs come out. Greenville County, Malden, and the city of Eastman were the best place to find employment in the state of South Carolina. And the Southeast, part of the Southeast, period. The number one was in Florida. I don't know how they got those statistics. We made it to that in class, so they asked all the same questions. How do they get these figures? Greenville is such a metropolitan area, how would they get these kind of numbers?
Postal Courier in Charleston did an article back in February called "A Guide to South Carolina." And in this survey, in this research, they identified that there are 26 counties in South Carolina where 20% of people live below the poverty line and unemployment rate was above 8%. These same 26 counties have to be the counties the majority of African Americans. If you were to remove these county lines from all of this entire map and track just where black people live, Greenville County was black communities within the same demographic. feel free to pass the article around, you guys take a look at
And if I can just add, those jobs that are so available in Greenville County, have a requirement that a lot of our unemployed Black men do not have in terms of GED to start, in terms of being working certified, in terms of being trained for the technological positions that are the vast majority of manufacturing positions that are available. Our guys are not even pulled because they don't have the criteria to be applied. So that's kind of where it starts for those pulled in general.
And I just want to say too, that home, we didn't say specifically Black or whatever, we just said the metropolitan area of Greenville. We just said the metropolitan area of Greenville easily, and Malden.
The MSA.
We include, other races as well, but I know we're talking about Blacks here in order, but still the numbers are high. But I mean, this be a very populated area, and jobs available, there's still some people out employed, so it's still a problem.
Given the issue and comparing ourselves to other regions, age 16 to 64, Black unemployment, Detroit is the highest ranking. We know what happened in Detroit with the collapse of the automotive industry after the economic recession. 53% of the Black men in Detroit are unemployed in 2012. Atlanta, great Atlanta, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks, Georgia Dome, all the great things that are going on in Atlanta. A lot of people leave Greenville desiring to get to Atlanta. 41% Black men unemployment in Atlanta. Charlotte, a lot of people want to leave Greenville, can't wait to get to Charlotte. Charlotte, Black men unemployment is 35.5%. Right.
You gotta look at that. There's a lot more people there than there is in Greenville.
1.7 million in Charlotte.
Well, it is, but that just shows, see how alarming it is in Greenville County, somewhere that's just a small county compared to these larger cities are almost at the same rate of unemployment. So I think that's what he's trying to pull out there.
Research done by the University of Milwaukee, marketing, the economic development department. So we use some of that research to kind of help us to dig into what's going on in Greenville. Our strategy. Many people have challenged us. We know the problem. We know how complex it is. What are we going to do about it? So we have organized these forums and advisory committee to address this process. This is that kind of process. Our method is called action research. Action research is designed into the concept of adult education. I already know that one of the primary issues is the education skills gap. And so we are inviting you as business leaders, community leaders, to participate in this process and tell us about what services you provide, measure the capacity of the number of people that you can serve, and we can help collaborate to be a part of this process. So that's why you're here. Action research is powered by data centered on human ability to break free from deleterious social habits for autonomous democratic participation. Everybody has an equal voice. Everybody can play a role in helping one another and addressing this issue. That's why this forum is open to the public, and that's why we want to hear from you about what you think about this problem. Preliminary diagnosis, the root cause of lack of unemployment is a high percentage of probably the education skills gap. You hear the term used all the time that many of the jobs, particularly Greenville County, 37% of the jobs in Greenville County require at least a bachelor's degree. Less than 8% of the jobs in Greenville County you can get without having a high school diploma. That means 92% of the jobs in Greenville County you're going to need at least a high school diploma or better in order to find employment. Okay, so we know that that's an option. We know that there are other secondary and tertiary issues that we don't want to overlook, that we want to be able to address it through these forms. Data gathering, we had 3 forums prior to this one. This is the 4th, where we look at the information on paper, but we also want to give it to you and give us further feedback on what things can we be overlooking, what things can we be missing, what are some other issues that affect this problem. So we identify action items, maybe able to look at the staff. The red figure, I thank our colleague Curtis Ashley for providing this data for us. This map shows the number of persons the upstate that have less than a high school diploma. The red color indicates those who have less than a high school diploma. Guess what demographic of people live where those red colors are? African American and Hispanic people. 60% of the African Americans in Greenville County have less than a high school diploma.
That's probably higher than black men.
Right. Roughly 45 to 55% black males have high school diploma. Can open this up a little bit so people can see about how the organization deals with this problem?
Well, we don't. The problem is how we address this problem, and we don't fully address it. We try to talk about it. We can't rectify it. What we're trying to do is, and I talked about it, is that one of the major areas in this population, not only is the lack of education, but also the lack of transportation. I really want somebody to do a survey to see how many people, black males or black men in Greenville County that have a legal route. I didn't think about that until I was on the way over here. Because a lot of them don't have state IDs. And one thing we do, we actually, they don't have a state ID. We try to help them, assist them to get an ID or try to get some kind of driving privilege back. And not only the driving privilege, we don't have the transit route in Greenville County to address those areas in the red area, because a lot of the buses don't go in that area. But again, no access to the transportation corridor. Then if you think about it, it's 2 adult agencies outside of the sheriff that will address this issue. That's one right up the street, Southern Sun, and United Methodist. Again, I don't have that's right, Rudy Wilson. But the problem is, if I don't have access to get to these places, how can I get that and retain that? Because first of all, I ain't got no driving license, then I don't have a car, and then the bus will come to my area to get me to these places. Or to that area. Or if I do get a job, it's a low-paying job, and guaranteed it's a third shift job. I mean, a radio shift job. So how can I again access transportation to get to the resources that answer? So what we're trying to do is to rectify the guys of the people, the participants that's in our program. I'll leave this now to Africa. Participants that's in our program, we try to provide some kind of transportation for them. We try to remove that barrier to say where you need to be, what time you got to be there, even down to appointments. If I got to go see Bob about getting a haircut, if you ain't got no transportation, you're trying to do it. The problem with that is, again, the economy is affecting us. The gas prices are high, the repairs on our vehicles are so high, so we're living. That's one of the things that we're living.
A piece of legislation that's attached to that, in 2001, they passed the legislation, Stockton State Legislature, that any ex-felon coming out of prison have to pay an additional $50 in order to get state ID. And the purpose of that was somebody killed a police officer who was an ex-felon in 2001, and in order to pay for that fund that compensates officers that are slain in the line of duty by an ex-felon, that money comes out of $50.
See, that again, that's another barrier that we're saying why they're unemployed.
Exactly, and another barrier to transportation is your charge. You carry fines that are related directly to your driving privilege that are sometimes upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 before you can even get a driver's license because you are an ex-felon.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to give you a chance so you can see who some of the advisors were for our process. I want to just give them a chance to stand. You may have heard from some already. We had myself, who serves as the chair, Dr. Caroline Caldwell, Minister Steve Del Sol, Minister Steve today, Mrs. Zacchaeus Moss, Ms. Janet Wolf from the Urban League, Mr. Leo Ferguson, Minister Renee Floyd, and Minister Magdalene Johnson. She's an associate here at Long Branch Baptist Church. For those of you who are new here today, you can go to YouTube and watch excerpts of all of the forums that we had before. So you just visit the YouTube channel. The forum here today, as well as all our forums, is going to be on YouTube by this time tomorrow. So those who did not get a chance to access it, they can blog, comment on what they heard, and and give further feedback on what our discussion entailed. The first forum we had, 43 people attended. We got 276 total views on YouTube. We confirmed our assumption that the education and skills gap was the number one issue. We didn't say it was the only issue. We just said that was the number one issue. The other issues were identified were substance abuse. You can have a GED or a high school diploma or even a bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctorate degree, but if you can't pass the drug test, you ain't gonna work for certain corporations.
Yeah, well, nobody.
You might work with an underground economy, but you're not gonna work for BMW or Shell or any other major employer. And this is something that we do not like to talk about in the African American community. We like to talk about other things, but we don't like to talk about substance abuse. Transportation, as Mr. Kelly Walker identified, is the issue. Soft skills development. I served as a board member for the Urban League. We had a career fair yesterday. 80% of the persons in attendance were African American, and a large number of the persons were not dressed appropriately in order to get a job. Young ladies were wearing inappropriate clothing, and you can use your imagination for that. The young men, their pants were not buckled properly, they did not have proper shirts on, but they were standing in front of major employers filling out applications.
Can I just
Yes,
interject? Excuse me, Mr. Sullivan, did you get that speech before you went to your job there about how you should look, how you should dress? Very good. He's a client of mine over here. He was prepared. Thank you.
I think that's the major key, especially with the roles that we are currently in and have the effect to be able to affect people. We have to tell them the truth. I think a lot of times people don't get the truth. We know they don't get it at home because they don't have it.
Right.
And if they don't get it from their peers, which they think is the truth, it's most likely the right thing. But we have to continue to tell people the truth. And that's my standpoint. That's my ground. If you come into my office, you will hear the truth. And I think people need to really realize we have to tell people the truth. All the barriers, we need to tell everybody the truth. So they can at least say, they in the back of their minds, they probably know it, but they've heard it and they can do something about it.
And I know Rico do a boot camp. If you talk about the boot camp, we do.
Yeah, we do a week-long boot camp for employability status for those that are unemployed coming through the doors of the Upstate Fatherhood Coalition. And through that boot camp, we can develop their skills, be more productive, better equipped for interviewing, applications, fill out applications correctly, do mock interviews. We even have a tie-tying session. A lot of guys we deal with don't even know how to tie a tie. So that's part of our being prepared for interviews and things like that. It's a great curriculum that we got to get them better equipped. It's not our job to get you a job, it's our job to get you better equipped for employment, because for every one job you're applying for, it's another 39 people applying for that same job. So what is it about you that's going to stand out above everybody else?
We even make them cut their dreads. I know y'all gonna say, "Nah, why you do that?" Because we already got a strike against you.
That's right, yes.
And tattoos, we show them how to cover it up. Not saying we want you to be an individual. We're trying to get you in the door. And a lot of people say, "Well, I want to do that." Well, okay.
You don't want to
You don't work.
You don't
You don't want to. Well, I can get a job. I know such and that's the problem. You know such and such what about you?
And that's
and,
what
and this mindset. Go ahead.
That's what.
Did you notice, I'm on the board of the Urban League too. Did you notice yesterday the difference between those who were black, how they were dressed, and those who were white, and how they were dressed?
Sure.
Notice that?
That's why I was there with us. Others may have attended career fair. The younger age group, 25 and under, these are young people that have never gone into the workforce before. And so they're ill prepared beyond having their high school diploma of meeting the demands of the day's workforce. One young lady, I'm going to share this before we move forward. One young lady, she was so inappropriately dressed, one of our staff members from the Urban League pulled her to the side and told her that she would need to go change clothes before she goes to talk to the employees. And she didn't take offense to it. She appreciated it. She was a young lady. I mean, nobody probably ever told her that before.
I'm going to say this. We offer services at Mount Pleasant, and for people that don't know, we offer a food ministry. We have a clothes closet, and my phone rings 24/7. I sleep with my telephone. For the ones that really know me, I don't sugarcoat anything. I tell you exactly how it is. If you are ex-felon, you have 7 strikes against you to begin. And we, Pastor Boyce and I, we were
working with the Unshackled program where we were having resume drives, doing soft skills. Most of the children 25 and under are going through a state of rebellion. Most of them have been raised by grandparents. People have been telling them that they're cute and they think they have it going on, and they don't want to take what you say to heed. I have said till I'm blue in the face, you cannot say, I have 2 boys of my own. I do believe in you spare the rod, spoil the child, or however that is. I beat mine and I don't care. You know, you're not going to be that old where I can't discipline you, because if you're going to eat in my house, you're going to do it my way. They have a such thing now they call soft sagging. Sagging is sagging to me. I don't care if it's a little bit showing.
Not all the way down.
Or not all the way down. I just think these kids now they think they looking good, you know, because girls are telling them you're cute. And you can say, pull your pants, ma'am, cut your cover up. But she thinking her cleavage is gonna get her a job.
Right.
And as my mom used to say, you only hot for a little while. As you get older, they don't get you in the door anymore.
Our second forum, our topic was acceptance and accountability for ex-offenders. We know that the large proportion of unemployed black men, nationally, statewide, and local, are ex-felons. And so we identified certain barriers that specifically relate to ex-felons. We had 29 people in attendance, 231 views on YouTube, and one of the things that Kelly helped us understand is that many of our ex-felons are unfamiliar about the expungement process, the details and the steps that are necessary in order to understand the expungement process. Secondly, there are also cases that where persons were blanketly excluded from employment because of their ex-felon status, but it did not relate to their ability to perform the duties of the job. And some of you have been reading paper, you know a little more about that. Our third forum was a plenary. We had 22 people in attendance, 60 views on YouTube. One of our key findings is blanket exclusions are a potential EEOC violation. Ex-felons must be completely honest when completing applications for employment. So in other words, if they ask you, have you been convicted of a crime, say yes.
And say, well, explain.
Right. Dr. Fuller, you want to comment on that? Anything you want to share with us on that? And how EEOC has faced challenges with that?
Yeah, and also on the education.
Right.
I heard you talk about the gap in education and the percentage of jobs that require high school education. I wonder if anybody's ever tested whether or not a high school education is required to perform duties of the job.
Okay.
That's another element of what we call adverse impact that affects the African American community and the Hispanic community greater than it does the white community. That perhaps those requirements are an element just to keep us from getting those jobs.
Correct.
As it relates to the ex-offenders, what we found is that many companies have a blanket exclusion. It doesn't matter what your conviction is. It doesn't matter how long ago it is. If you have ever been convicted of any kind of crime, you cannot work here. And what the law basically states is that it has to be job-related and consistent with business necessity. I mean, if you rob a bank and you apply for a job in the bank teller, you might not get hired in the company. That may be a viable reason for not hiring people. Another thing we consider is the time frame. So if it happened 20 years ago, and these big companies who are excluding anybody who has a conviction record, we're going to ask them, we're going to ask the person who comes to us, did you disclose it on your application? Yes, I disclosed it. You know, what happened? How long ago was it? What have you done in your life since the time you've had this conviction? We have had people who have gone to school and got degrees, who have been married, who work in their church, you know, who have just and never been in trouble since, you know, they were 18 years old and now they're 30 or 40 trying to get a job at a big company in this area that are being excluded. I think that our penal system was originally supposed to rehabilitate. Well, some people do not reoffend. And while they claim that the recidivism rate is really high, a lot of people don't reoffend, and the federal government is just taking a closer look at whether or not people are being discriminated against as a result of their past conviction records.
Yes, that's all.
Can I just add that in terms of looking at recidivism, when you talk to the average person, people have the concept that the recidivism is based out of bad character, or the recidivism is based out of a need of not wanting to work, or not wanting to do better, or not wanting to change. And I've been in the reentry field and in the psychology field for 20 years, and that is not the case. The case is opportunity. We don't allow ex-felons the opportunity to live, the opportunity to earn, the opportunity to change. And if we take away that opportunity, then what you do get is a high recidivism rate because it's called survival.
Could I ask you all a question? What is my thing is that some of the folks, things they've done is being expunged from their records. Mm-hmm. Now, how does that relate between blacks and whites in South Carolina, you think?
Well, if you are a drug felon, see, the expungement only works for certain level of offenses. If you have a drug offense or
It's kind of hanging out right
oh yeah, don't worry, he gonna die. I got it. Don't worry, he gonna die. He gonna. Excuse me, I'll talk to him.
I killed black boss.
Whatever he was gonna have to die, he couldn't stay.
She killed him in church too.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, but I killed him in love. They all died to me. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you have a federal charge, the only person who can expunge your federal charge is the President of the United States. And there's a series of lawyers that even looks at that before it even gets to his desk. If you have a state charge, that's a felony, then you're obliged to look at Nikki Haley's desk. And expungement is just for low level, like if you get caught with paraphernalia, misdemeanors and low offense felonies. Like if you give false information to a police officer, it's still considered a felony, but it's not a high felony, and they will expunge things like that. But anything you go to jail for, you're gonna have to see a higher power. You're not gonna get an expungement. And that's $200 that you will waste because it's non-refundable. So we have to be honest to tell them, we want to say go get an expungement, but I'm not sending somebody that comes to me for an expungement, and especially if I know that they've served 6 years for drug offense. I know it's not going to go.
But see, the thing that you can do with that expungement, I advise, I heard what she said, that I don't send nobody. I advise send everybody to the expungement office, not to say I'm going to get expungement, fill out the application, and let them tell you what could be expunged. That's free. All you doing is going out there, I want to fill out the application, don't put no charge, no number, just so they can run your whole thing, and they'll send you back a letter to tell you what could be expunged and what can come off free. They ain't gonna talk to you nothing. They'll tell you how much the expunge is gonna cost, but at least you're aware what's on your record that could be expunged, what can come off free, and what can't.
Many men to that point are not aware. Listen clearly. Many men are not or fully aware of what is on their record.
They do.
Our lawyers making plenty of money trying to expunge people's records on it.
Who?
Lawyers.
I'm gonna get you in
That ain't gonna happen. If you got a lawyer trying to expunge the record, you waste your money.
What they do is they get a record sealed. There's a certain thing as getting a record sealed versus getting an expungement. You can pay a lawyer and get it sealed, but still, if a company has their own lawyers, then that lawyer can look at your record. There's only certain people that can look at sealed records.
Yes, sir.
Right. I work with the food bank here at Lumber every week. I apologize for my voice, I can't get them out, but I see the same men coming every single week. And what I see is a sense of hopelessness. And we give them food, but we don't, we're giving them fish, but we're not teaching them how to fish. And so I help them now once a week where they meet and they come, and I try to direct them in different directions. For example, if they have a record, the Urban League of South Carolina will work with them in there are different organizations that will help me. But as far as not sending somebody to get expunged,
It's $50.
in Virginia, a couple of gentlemen decided that they were going to leave me in my vehicle, and I decided that they weren't, and we had a disagreement, which led to the judge saying that you passed the point where you knew that they weren't going to be able to take the vehicle, and you continued, and so he sent me to jail, and I ended up the record. That has been expunged. When I go to employment, that's no longer going to be there on my record. Did I have to pay some money? Did I have to really go through some hoops? Yes, I did, but it's no longer there. I'm just saying, never tell somebody there's no hope.
No.
Just be honest with them.
There's depending on the charge. There are certain people that I will send, but the people that I deal with, there are ex-felons that have done 5 to 10, 20 years for drugs, robbery. I'm an honest person. If you have a minor conviction, yes, I'm gonna send you. And as I was just telling Kelly, I sent someone to that and they wanted them to pay that application fee. When you get it, it's on the application, how much it costs. It's on the application. You can download one, it's on the application, how much it costs.
Go to the solicitor's office, general session.
Now, David's not here. He led our first 2 forums. One thing we need to be clear about is South Carolina. When you get a charge expunged,
It's still on there.
when you consent to having your background check done with an employer, it's going to say armed robbery expunged.
That's right.
In brackets.
Yes, it does.
It does not remove the
No,
charge
it does
from your
not.
record.
And a partner is the same way.
Right,
It's
right.
partner in parentheses.
It's going to say whatever the charge was in brackets, it's going to say expunged.
And my charge was in the state of Virginia.
Yeah, South Carolina.
No.
If the charge is in South Carolina, it will not be removed. So we have.
Unless they won't see it.
Yeah. It's not. It's misleading to people what expungement means. Expungement does not mean removed from your records.
And that is what I think most people
Yeah,
have in
and
concept of.
that's where that truthfulness comes in. And we have
That's
to
what is that thing that you all have up there?
Exactly,
Is
exactly.
that little where they take it off the record? It's pre-court.
Like putting gloves on going to
The only thing that comes off the record is pre-trial.
I tell people the best thing on misdemeanor and so forth, just go through the pre-trial.
Right.
You go through the pre-trial and that's all, it goes completely off the
That's the
record.
only way it comes
You
out.
know, but if you have a high misdemeanor, 10 years or more, you go to the record. But what the company's doing in the state of South Carolina is no longer doing the SLED background check. They're going NCIC, and then because the federal government sending so many of our people all across the nation, that these companies, local companies, are doing NCIC. But what I don't like about local companies is their partnership with corporations throughout the Southeast region. Whereas I do a background check on you in Greenville, South Carolina, then I move to Arkansas. That thing gonna have the same database. Now, that's what's killing us. You share the database. I don't think that the state of South Carolina should be sending, any corporation not be sending. If I apply a job for here, BMW, and then I go to Florida and Arkansas, there's no way the BMW be sitting in that database information about me to another. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That's a whole different bag of issues we need to deal with.
I'm just going to add to pre-trial. I mean, it sounds wonderful, but it's not free.
No.
And when you're indigent, pre-trial is very often not even an option.
Cost.
Because it's $100 just to
It's
get
$100 to get in.
just to get in.
250, then you have to pay
Exactly.
$50, $57
It's
a
not
week.
free. That's
Like you're in PTI.
It's all money.
To be honest, that's kind of for people with rich parents who can get you out of trouble.
That's right.
Let's transition our attention to the details of what this process begins today. Action plan, what you're doing today. Step 1 is to do intake and quarterly form. Some of you signed in before you leave today. The most important thing, you're going to need to use some information about what you do here in the community. Okay? And you can go and help us expedite this. If you are, how many job seekers we have here? Looking for a job seekers. If you are a community service organization or an employer, you would fill out this white form. Yeah. Employer, You feel Second step, each Thursday, 12:30, next door, our advisory committee meets to discuss the information shared during our forums and to get further feedback from you. That's where we begin our assessment process. Those meetings are open to the public. You're welcome to come. We meet next door for 1 hour, from 12:30 to 1:30. You can get that message out to anyone. You're welcome to be a part of those meetings. Then that's when we branch off into our 3 clusters. The first cluster would be our career training, education and placement clusters such as SHARE, such as Urban League, those people who are, and such as Greenville Tech that have career training, education capacity, and also conducive career placement. Brown Mackey has participated in our forums as well. The second would be the entrepreneurial network cluster. Sister Ingram, other talent management, other persons who are entrepreneurs and also do entrepreneur development. Everyone is not going to go to traditional employment training. Everybody's not going to go to money. Everyone's not going to look for a traditional job if they want to need assistance in starting their own business. And that's why organizations have been invited to participate in that discussion. You want to say a little more about that, about what you guys do? Where's the microphone?
Sure. Brunel Ingram with Visions International. We've been in existence now for 13 years. I started Ground Zero. I started with education. My mentor reminds me that I did start somewhere. So I'm not on the same platitude as the individuals that we're talking about today. But when I am working with individuals, I share with them that yes, I did have a college degree, but I had 0 capital. I had 0 network. I started from ground zero. So we've been going now 13 years. I have, including myself, 30 employees and 5 contractors working with me. So the focus that we take is micro businesses primarily, which are businesses that have 5 or fewer employees and require less than $50,000 in capital. And we take a coach approach because we have to develop people. And no matter where I'm at, you will always hear me say that we cannot just give out loans or start programs and provide access to programs and access to all these resources without developing people. And if we look at the demographic of South Carolina, and we look at our people in South Carolina, there is serious disparity in personal and professional development. And it is wonderful that we have all of these organizations, and specifically in the small business arena, we now have actual loan programs in South Carolina. When I first started doing this, I was having to use a lender out of California to fund businesses in South Carolina. But if we give them the money to start their businesses, and we don't develop that person, then that person is not going to be able to lead that organization, lead that vision, and lead other people. And so we take the approach of developing individuals through a coaching process, and because you asked, I brought some flyers about the group coaching sessions that we have going on now. You know, I'll spare any other detail. Just ask me some specific questions because I have a lot of touches and points in working with small businesses. I work with some of the, or mostly all the lenders that work with microloan programs in the upstate as well as in South Carolina. So I have a direct relationship with the Appalachian Development Corporation, Community North Carolina, Michelin Development, and I've helped some of the others get their programs started. And what people do not realize is that some of those programs will actually reimburse you for your coaching and training, or give you access to pay a minimal cost for the coaching and training that we offer because we're partnered with them. And so that is something that provides access to individuals who do not have the financial resources starting out. And some of them require that coaching and training because we realize we have to develop people, we have to give them access to resources to be able to grow their businesses and create jobs, you know, for other individuals. So there's a lot of different opportunities. If you're interested in information specific for your population of the people that you're dealing with, just call me or see me afterwards, and I'll make sure to share that with you.
And if you want a reference as to her skill level and what she can do, Ms. King was my coach when I started my business 2 years ago. It was on paper, it was in my head, I had zero capital, I had zero assets, and now I am a thriving nonprofit and for-profit business doing great work in the community. She does develop people. Since working with her, I was nominated as a Woman of Achievement for the YWCA for the work I've done in the community, and I attribute that to things that she has taught me. So she's the real deal.
Let's give these ladies a hand. Thank you so much. That would be track 3.2, the entrepreneurial network and cluster. Track 3.3 would be the self-employed cluster. Those persons who may be landscapers, maybe have their own auto detailing business, so on and so forth. They may have any particular type of business with a self-employed or looking to develop a cluster for that as well. Once we receive a tracking of those particular entities, then we come back to the evaluation of action. In other words, at the beginning of the process, we want to be able to identify who the entrepreneurs are, the employers, and the self-employed persons are. We want to be able to connect them with black men who may be unemployed, and then at the end of that process, measure the output, seeing how many came in unemployed, and at the end, how many became employed through these forms. Everybody clear on that? Okay? And then the output will be measured. At each forum, we will report our progress. Quarterly, we will report our progress. Okay? Many of you have seen this demographic before. Educate versus incarcerate. The cost of educating a young black male is far more productive than the cost of incarcerating a black male. And I think the numbers speak for themselves. It costs $1 billion. Make sure I make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. Excuse me, it breaks down to $11,000 per child in this country to educate, but it costs $31,000 per person to incarcerate someone. That's just a national average. State level, $31,900 a year to incarcerate someone, but they spend $11,000 to educate someone. Yes, sir.
They had a statistic on the Al Sharpton show the other night, and that statistic saying there are more people, black people, who have been in institutions now than there was in slavery in 1865.
Don't speak for themselves. All right. Education and skills collaboration. These are the action items that were identified in our plenary on July 11th. First was developing systems that interconnect and not duplicate. In other words, we have Brown Mackey, we have Greenville Tech, we have Furman, we have Virginia College. We have all these educational institutions that are doing work that is preparing their students, but we see a great need for collaboration so that there can be more cohesion with all the issues of education skills development. We're expecting you, we're asking you to participate in these forums so that we can close some of these gaps. All right, information sharing of power and knowledge. The good work that you're doing, maybe perhaps can be duplicated across our institutions because we need to develop the workforce here in Greenville County in various capacities. Monitor and ensure that we keep on track. That's a part of our evaluation process. All right. Substance abuse and prevention, which is a major collaboration we need to be able to address. That Greenville County Drug Court participate and probation and parole, Caldwell, and all the colleagues participate. 3 action items we identified: accountability, awareness of the substance abuse problem. This is something that we need our churches to be able to address. Even host some forums on this issue in our churches, because whether we believe it or not, there are people in our churches that are struggling with this issue. If not personally, someone in their household. All right, nobody saying amen around here.
Amen.
Focus and motivation with mentorship as a vehicle. Train mentors to understand the recovery process, including remaps and setting boundaries. In other words, it's good to be able to have someone that has gone out the road and be able to come back with a positive experience and helping others that can recover. Okay? 4.3.3, let the individuals define their goals and ask questions to start with what, when, who, how, but not why. Dr. Caldwell, you want to comment on that last one?
Yeah, basically, why is a mystery, wrapped inside an enigma, dropped down in this, which basically means there's never really a why. And if you chase why, you are not looking at the action questions, which are the what, the when, the where, and the how. Why is the part ever really important?
Soft skills development. Very important issue. Community faith-based soft skill training sessions, again, our churches, our community centers are places that we need to be intentional in this area. Dressing for success is a basic topic that we can deal with our young people. How to prepare for an interview. Very practical things that need to be done so that it just cannot be ambiguous of what you need to do specifically before you even apply for the job. Dress the part, of course, is another way to dress with assess corporate partnerships, receive business code donations. SC Works, we participated in our church. We donated ties to SC Works because they had a tie-tying exercise for these young men. Because I've done college workshops for young men who had to learn how to tie on YouTube. And these are young men that were in college, not lazy. All right, develop youth program, internship students beginning at the age of 15. So in other words, let's not wait until a young person gets to be 21, 23, 25 to teach these things. Let's partner with our school district to implement some of these action items. Dr. Dixon, you want to share anything about this and what you do with your students?
Right now, I'm the faculty advisor for the African American Male Leadership Institute, and it's an organization we're just getting started our third year at Greenville College, and really what we're focusing on is retention and persistence with African American males. Most people probably already know that the graduation rate for African American males in college is about 13-14% and dropping. It just keeps getting lower. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take that intervention approach. We've been approached by several different schools. I have a meeting next month with guidance counselors from the charter schools to begin to work with some of the African American boys and connecting them with our guys that are doing a lot better to make that connection. That's actually my personal dream, is to make the connection of a young brother who's in middle school, elementary school, so it's a complete transition into college so that educational compartment is already there. That his mindset is already, I was really lucky. The area in Atlanta that I was born and raised in, I forgot what the percentage is for a young man to have already had a child out of wedlock, to already be locked up, and to have a drug charge by age of 20. But that wasn't me, but that was because both of my parents went to college. So for the majority of the guys in my neighborhood, I can't visit them anymore. They're in either a grave somewhere, which is buried, or they're locked up. So this is what we're doing.
Let's give that next hand and bring the technical comments. Let's give him a hand. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about soft skills development? The action item is there. Transportation, major issue. We've had Greenville participate in the disciplinary, and they began, I want to make sure we were clear on that, they began discussing some of the following: extending hours, operation with third shift workers, increased route frequency to every 30 minutes. Right now it's every hour, but when it moves every 30 minutes. Alternative transit options such as bike share, community works, and finance scoring. One thing that they wanted to make clear to the public is the Greenville transit system is not fully financed. It's supplemented and subsidized by federal funding and state funding. The fares that people pay to ride the bus in Greenville do not cover all of the expenses.
Maybe you can explain.
Right. So that would mean they would have to raise their fares.
Well, I have one thing to say about this. I live on Pelham Road, and my house is years. I live on, I still speak black. I say what I mean, you what I say. Yes, but, I live on Pelham Road, and I've lived out there, over 20 years. The bus stops at the corner of Capewood and Pelham. I see women every morning when I take my son to school, walking from Capewood to the assisted living. That's almost towards 8 o'clock. All they have to do is drive down. I promise you, they will make more money if they cover more areas and stay open later. There are a lot of people that will love to ride the bus, but if you leave at 6, people are just getting off at 6. They need to ride the bus at 7. You look into these large areas, metropolitan areas where the bus system is running 24 hours. And people are going to work. You'll get more people employed. You'll get more economic growth from that system if you quit waiting on a handout.
Mr. Moss worked with that, take a breakout session.
Get all the statement that there are two things on our phone, a church and a liquor store. So there are two choices. Going to the liquor store or the church. So this is the church. Now we're talking about transportation. You pass any church on any day, you see buses, you see vans. What are they doing? Do outreaches outside the country. We don't do anything in our backyard. So we don't have a transportation problem. We have a community problem.
Well, I have a community problem.
Churches
At the last session that we had in July, the young gentleman that was here just started, he moved from Spartanburg and now he's working at Greenville. He mentioned something about the new transit pathways that we've got running, that our car helps fund the vehicles that they needed to run those routes. What if we petitioned the Greenville hospital system for all the different offices, 360 MD care and all of that? What if we petitioned them to help put in on vehicles that go out in those directions? Because that would at least expand the current bus routes. And they got the money, they just started in the school, the education system.
Well, I just don't think it's slowly incorporated.
And some of these things require federal funding. We did ask someone to come to one of our representative offices, Trey County, and you from Trey's office. All right, I'll let you introduce yourself and comment on that.
I may not have the questions today, but please send them to me and we'll try to figure out what we need to tell you. But I am Missy Halside from Congressman Trey Gowdy's office. I do business development and outreach. I came to your opening. It's good to see. So we're just here. We want to be good stewards to the community. We want to learn what help we can be to all of you and to the issue. So please just let me know what we can do to help.
Super, man. Thank you so much.
I don't mean to say, but it's to his my head. But the insurance for most churches won't cover them to pick up other people because I deal with that issue as far as we go to the prison. I oversee a ministry. I'm over the prison ministry at Mount Pleasant. We feed 300 men every year. We feed 150 men on one day. We go back and feed another 150. I'm a social pastor, and I get the world just trying to get the bus to get me and a group of people to the prison because the insurance is so stipulated that you can only have X, Y, and Z, and if you go outside of those boundaries, if someone has an accident, because I'm with you, I actually wanted to know why we had a $96,000 bus sitting in our parking lot, and we were not allowing people to rent that bus, to bring in, to generate money so that we can give back to the community. The insurance would not cover it. If you did not be on our insurance, and we had 5 people in our church that had a CDL license, but if you had 2 or more accidents, you could not be on our insurance. So it's so many, it's all boiled down to politics. It's politics in the church, just like it's everywhere.
And then you make that church.
To drive.
I'm not asking them to drive.
No, but I'm saying, they can't, you gotta have drivers in order to get the people. Most of the people that drive the buses for the church work a day job. So if you can only get 2 people qualified to drive that bus.
Sound like a job opportunity to me.
But this is,
I know what buses.
We got 1,000 excuses for meeting the need.
Well, we can know somebody going to get a job. No, and I understand, yeah, if somebody want a job, I can definitely get them.
And I hear both of y'all, but the thing is, if y'all know, y'all don't see no more 15-passenger vans at church. Have anybody paid attention to that?
Well, I'm just the example I gave you specifics.
Yeah, he right, so we got 3 of them sitting up.
what I was saying from a pastor standpoint is that we were approached with this issue at the church with a liability coverage. The insurer would not insure us to participate in that process. So we would need legislation changes possibly to kind of help open up that conversation. Yeah, because the church.
With the liability, you are categorized in different areas of where you're at. Churches got a certain liability category, like the YMCA's, they under certain, with other entities that like that. I guarantee you, share the Head Start is under a different entity, and we also they got transportation. But I guarantee you, they're under stiffer limitations and insurance policies. It's the insurance industry that's saying you can't do. That's just like us. We got self-passenger van because we can't drive 15 because you got to have CDL to drive 15 passenger van. So we use self-passenger van. You know, we cut down on the liability. And people don't realize that.
Yeah, insurance is crazy now. It's crazy.
Let's transition into our summaries because we want to get time for you to participate in our cluster meetings. Okay. All right. The forum dates. Our next forum was scheduled for December 5th, 2013 here. And that will continue this process of evaluating, accessing who you are, who is unemployed, who is capable of employing people, connecting them together, and evaluating the growth and reduction of black unemployment. Okay? You know, we're going to be optimistic with this. We want to reduce it from 33% to 8% by this time next year. For black men. 33% to 8%. Because we're not talking about a large number of people. We're talking about 9,000 men. So if we get these 9,000 men down to about 3,000, we're making progress.
We got to change legislation. We can get it done.
Yeah, we can get it done.
We got to start with legislation.
We can get it done. We don't want to be ambiguous anymore on the subject. We know how many people we're dealing with. We know we want to identify how many businesses we have, and we want to be able to connect these men with youth so that this issue can be resolved.